Hello, sisters. A fossil person says, that hurt me. I agree. That was extremely abstract. Like, I thought that at first her point was, you know, if we take ego and like the self, like if we take like what I want out of this interaction out of sex, and it's purely about the experience of it rather than like with the psychological aspect of it, that it's not dehumanizing. But then at the end she seemed to conclude that it was like the ultimate dehumanization of women for men to try to make them skinless. So I was like, what? Like, I don't fucking understand what that chapter was about. I didn't look at the live chat at all, so if you had any like questions or thoughts, please drop them now. That was very weird. Like the like vivid description. I mean, Dworkin is known for her vivid descriptions, but the vivid descriptions of like the skinlessness were kind of creepy. Also, the idea of having sex covered in sand sounds horrific. Yeah, I don't really know what to say about this chapter. It was very strange. Yes, Pinwheel says thumbs down. I agree. Thumbs down. I'm trying to think of like in the broad sense of the book. So the first chapter was Tolstoy acknowledging that like for men to have sex with women is like an objectification, and it is what a no. Yeah, it was weird and uncomfortable. I agree. So the first chapter is like Tolstoy saying that he views like sex as like the objectification and like exploitation of women, and so like for men to have intercourse with women is like to create a woman who wants revenge for being like used and hurt, right? Then I'm trying to think like in the terms of the book, what is this chapter? Is this chapter like trying to understand what sex could be outside? But the section of the book, this is part one, the first I think 3 chapters or 4 chapters, part one are intercourse in a man-made world. Like, I don't know. Is she trying to say that men want to experience something outside of their ego, and so they try to like force that experience by like ripping the skin off of women, like in a metaphorical sense, like making women like viscerally connected with them to try and experience like the connection and therefore not be stuck in their ego. Like, is that what she's trying to say? I don't know. Okay. Kiyoshi says, I know what she's saying. I felt the skinless part. Men do that to women by violating their bodies. They bring women to feel like them. Okay. Okay, so Kiyoshi, let's keep going with what you just said. Is she saying that men feel vulnerable because they feel they need to like exercise authority to be perceived as being powerful, and through feeling vulnerable because of that necessity, they think that violating a woman's body will make her similarly vulnerable? Is that what you're getting at? Myron says, I don't know, Andrea goes over my head sometimes. That's what's weird to me, is like each of these chapters, like the last one is basically like an academic analysis. This one is like some abstract postmodern thing. Like, usually of the Dworkin I've read, the chapters will be a combination of like some kind of abstraction, some kind of like really grounded physical thing, and like then the culmination of the collection of the two. Lisa says some of her writing is so approachable, and this wasn't that. Yeah. Beatrix says, I majored in English literature, and this was still beyond me. Also, I've never read Intercourse, so it's not embedded in my mind. Yeah. I never took an English course in university, so I do read a lot of books though, but they're mostly fiction. Like, I read a lot of books. I think I've read 650 books now. Anung says, I liked it because I read The Woman in the Dunes. I think you needed to understand the late 70s to really get it. Interesting, thank you, Anung. Kobe Abe is a difficult author. Anung says it's sort of like wanting to possess the other totally. The need to surveil, spy on as a means of control and maintain authority. Oh, it's like, okay. Existentialism, thank you. I don't know much about existentialism. What? I don't understand the iPad. Why do you do this? The live chat just like disappears. No, stay here. Okay. Okay. Anang says The Woman in the Dunes was a really popular book at the time, so Dworkin used it as an example. Yeah, like, that's what I find kind of strange. Like, I understand, obviously, obviously that I was not around in that era, and I don't know, like, what's the, like, popular literature and, like, the popular, like, archetypes and concepts and stuff were at that time. So I'm just trying, like, I don't know, sometimes, like in the last book I read by her, obviously a lot of what she was talking about was, like, class. So she would kind of point to, like, the exploitation and oppression of, she would get quotes from men during Reconstruction. Is that the term? After slavery? Right? It's Reconstruction. Or she would be talking about, like, the concept metaphysically of, like, women surviving in the world. So she would point out, like, really early feminist literature. And I was like, I get that. Then other stuff I was like, do you just really like this author? Like, why is this author being quoted all the time? Like, I didn't really get that. This book so far, I'm like, what? Like, I don't know. The Tolstoy thing I kind of get, because I think she was trying to be like, look, it's not only women who understand that, like, sex is, like, can be, like, an intrinsically harmful thing, right? So she was trying to, I think, start off the book by being like, look, men think that too sometimes. This, I don't know. But I want to get back to engaging with something Anung said a minute ago. Why you be like this? Okay. Anung says, it's sort of like wanting to possess the other totally, the need to surveil, spy on as a means of control and maintaining authority. Okay, so that's it really, but that really only comes out at the end of the chapter. Like, I get what you're saying, but I feel like I wasn't really engaging on that basis throughout the chapters, so, like, I feel like I need to, like, reprocess the whole chapter now, because she only mentioned that, like, the last true 2 pages, really. But I understand this, like, it's like the ultimate domination to, like, obliterate the self of the woman, but, like, she doesn't talk about the man having a self that much in this chapter. Like, I understand the domination, the annihilation of the self, like the ultimate position of not having any boundaries against the man. Let's try and engage in it on that front. So, I feel like I'm really bullshitting today. Like, I don't know what's happening. We're all in this together, guys. So if the woman is, that's what I thought it was going to be about. Like, when I just read, like, the names of the chapters and it said Skinless, I thought this was going to be about how women don't really have boundaries. Like, they're not really able to have boundaries on, like, either a psychological, emotional, or societal level. But that kind of doesn't make sense in, like, the chapter as a whole, because when she talks about the man in the dunes trying to rape that woman, and then, like, she beats him up, and then she has sex with him or something, and he's like, oh, this is how it was supposed to be. Like, I don't understand that aspect in the context of the concept that women have no boundaries, and that's a bad thing. Like, was she just trying to articulate what she thought Abe was trying to say? Not that she agrees with it, I don't know. That's something else too, is like, this chapter I found particularly confusing in that aspect, because like in Tolstoy, for example, in the Tolstoy chapter, it really was obvious to me that she was saying, look, this is what Tolstoy is saying, and I'm going to explain to you why he was saying it that way, right? Not that she agrees with it, that she's explaining it. In this chapter, the difference between this is what I think and this is what this guy is saying, I couldn't really tell. There was no like delineation in tone that to me indicated that. It was very confusing. Okay, I'm gonna try to make it more grounded in what I think and know about sex. Oh. Yeah, I know. Anung says, I wonder what Andrea would say about Tim's almost literally wanting to crawl into women's skin these days. Mm-hmm. So, I think that, like, the concept of heterosexual intercourse necessitates women being in an extremely vulnerable position. Like, it's impossible otherwise, right? So, So I think in a way, she's talking about men trying to have a dominant position over women by saying, look, or by imitating and mocking the fact that they don't have boundaries. I don't know. Like, by, you're so vulnerable, you're so skinless, I'm going to try to be similarly skinless to dominate you on a new, more profound level than ever before. Maybe. Kiandong has things to say. I was waiting for her to type out the rest of it. Okay. Anung says, in order for men to control women, they have to know how they're thinking and feeling all the time. They'll get terrified if they can't control what we're thinking about them, even though we're just vessels. Dworkin touches on men's self-hatred and thinking of themselves as polluted and wanting to dump that pollution out onto women's bodies. Okay, that makes sense to me. Because it also draws back to what we learned about in Right-Wing Women, whereas there's like this misogynist concept of like the woman as like the pure thing, like woman is like the moral thing, woman is like a cleansing thing that can be used, right? So if you're thinking about it like into what Nung has just said, in terms of men viewing women as vessels, objects, tools that are pure and clean and vulnerable, they want that to be totally knowable, totally dominatable. And through being totally knowable and totally dominatable, and through being totally like pure and moral and clean and whatever, the man can on a very deep, visceral level cleanse himself, and cleanse himself in a way that is dominating. Is that what I'm saying? I don't know. I feel like I need to study existentialism to understand this chapter, and I have not studied any existentialism at all, ever. Well, Anung says yes. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. I actually definitely read a couple chapters of some existentialism when I was in high school, but that was so long ago and so brief and superficial. The bird is dancing, guys. Now the dog is coming. Wow. Hey dog. You have a 3-hour nap. How are you feeling? You guys want to see dog? Doggy. Say hello. Okay. Hello. Nung says existentialism is basically just that you create meaning for yourself. The universe is benignly indifferent to you. All the meaning comes from you. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yes, I am at Rachel's place. Thus the bird and the dog. I'm in Seattle. That's why I'm like doing everything on an iPad without my microphone. But tomorrow I should do things on her computer with her microphone, so it should be better. Hello, Doge. I pet you. It's okay. Alright. So, we talked about this chapter. I think that maybe what's going to happen is that like the deeper we get into the book, the more we can look back on this chapter and get some more solid meaning out of it. Commentatio. I'm literally ending the stream right now though. Yeah, so I'm going to fix like the titles and the descriptions of these videos and the thumbnails of the videos. And tomorrow we should have the scheduled video on the computer with the real microphone, so it shouldn't be as confusing as it was today. But yeah, same time tomorrow. Be 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, 5 p.m. GMT tomorrow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yes, thank you. Hit the like button, please. I will see you guys tomorrow for chapter 3. Okay. Bye.